As a generation of millennials, we have really been targeted by hustle culture. And not just hustle culture, but also just not wanting to rest. Just not seeing a reason to rest. So we as a generation are very accustomed to getting burned out, and we happily do it, which is crazy weird to me. And of course, it's not actually seen as weird. It's actually quite natural, I think, for any one of our generation, specifically millennials, to be burnt out. I think we sort of I feel really proud when I'm burnt out. I mean, at least I used to. Now I feel like, okay, listen, calm down. Just relax a little bit. But again, hustle culture has really been something that's really a part of our generation, and it has, taken over our lives quite strongly. However, as much as speaking like I'm dissing hustle culture, but I also feel like it's not something that has ruined us. I'm not complaining about it, but it definitely did rewire a whole generation and just kind of changed the way we live as compared to a previous generation. I am going to be speaking about the hustle culture and how it's actually rewired us. Now, we are not a generation where, we actually had to survive. That was our parents' generation, and our parents did it just beautifully. I don't know how they did not burn out, but I think actually, you know what? I really do think I know how they did not burn out. In our parents' generation, they had a different set of opportunities, right? Let's say they had their basic education, which was more than enough back in the day. Nowadays, if you even have a PhD, you're just like, wait, what are we gonna do with someone with a PhD? It's just a whole different sort of scenario that's going on within our generation. However, within our parents' generation, they had like their basic degrees. I'm pretty sure a lot of our parents were not even high school. They probably just passed high school or even failed it, but they still got like really suitable jobs, or they ran businesses, they made money, and all their goal was get married, have kids, and give the best that they could to their kids. Like, I think, especially growing up brown, it's something I don't know about other cultures now, okay? So don't come at me saying that even other cultures did all of this. I'm just speaking from a very brown perspective, but that's what a lot of our parents did. They their whole thing was surviving, not just for themselves but for their kids, and whatever they couldn't have, the opportunities that they couldn't have, they made sure their kids had. So if you see a lot of Indians, of course, we are known for being like degrees and then masters and then just being really smart, to be honest. That was the ultimate goal for our parents. So burnout for them was not like having to continuously hustle. That was not hustle culture, that was just survival. They made sure they went for their 9 to 5, came back home, mom is cooking, dad is cleaning, then we're all sitting and watching TV, and then they're sleeping at a very reasonable time. And on the weekends we used to have a lot of fun. We used to go to our family's house, we used to have these big parties, come back. So they had proper good work life balance. However, when it did come to our generation, we had crazy amount of opportunity, and opportunity was changing at such a pace that it was just so intense. Opportunity was everywhere, and it's changing every freaking year. Right now it's changing every freaking second. Like, the amount of doors that could open up for you if you just tried, I think would it's just endless. So it's really they have the saying that says, it's paradox of choice. I think it's really hard when you have so much choice, you don't really know what to choose, and that's actually much more harder than like having like probably like three choices, right? Like, okay, I don't even know if I'm saying this right, but I know there's something like that. We are a generation with full of opportunity. So we did get educated, and then after our degree we had the choice of doing masters, or we had a choice of working. And then you suddenly have these economical shifts, right? Because basically, I remember when I was doing my masters, the startup thing, there was a startup bubble where everyone in Bangalore is starting a startup. From where they're getting investment money, I don't know, but they are managing it. There are a lot of people who are managing doing startups. There were a lot of people who, because we had the option, like our parents were like, no, no, y'all are not gonna survive. Y'all are educated, you do you, boo. And I feel like our parents were also very supportive. A lot of people were, our generation was more towards taking risks. And as someone who personally is not very risk averse, like, I I'm not someone who takes a lot of risk. I think for me, doing this podcast itself is a risk because I'm really putting myself out there on a platform and I'm actually speaking my mind, which is quite scary for me. I mean, I think it'd be scary to anyone, anyways. But I think at a younger age, I was just not someone who was willing to take the risk. Also, I did not really know what to do in life, right? Our generation does come from a time where we have the opportunity to take that risk because we don't really need to worry about survival. And when I was doing my masters, there came a time where there was the news, was that the startup bubble? And when you're doing your masters, it's crazy because you're actually made to feel that you need to be on your toes at all times. You need to be operating at the highest level at all times. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't have fun in my masters, okay? I had a lot of fun. That aside, when it comes to actually doing your masters, they literally, there is so much to be done at all times, and you need to be perfect in so many aspects that if you feel like, at least for me personally, I don't know about how the others felt during it, but at some point while I was studying, I really felt like I was falling behind. And that was a really scary feeling because when I saw everyone moving forward in some way or the other, for me, I'm like, am I falling back? Because there were people doing startups, and then there was entrepreneur culture, and then there were just people who were doing amazingly, and I'm just there like one lawyer, to be honest, sometimes. And it was really frustrating. And then came a time where you I don't remember exactly at what point, but then social media started growing. And it was one thing where between social media growing, which was during COVID time, and between me finishing my education, there was this brief time where I was just like, because I finished my masters and I felt like I was not doing enough, I already was feeling this sort of anxiety when I'm just like, bro, this cannot be my life. I cannot, is this it? Am I gonna go do my 9 to 5 and come back and just, is this it? Like, I was actually really anxious, but I was like, no, like, I have to be doing more than this. Like, there is no way that I'm just gonna live this life where I go to my job, come back, and then like I don't know what I'm doing with my time. And when I say not doing anything with my time, I would go out with my friends, I would chill, I would hang out, but in the back of my head I'm like, man, like, this is fun and everything, okay, but like somewhere I was like, I want to do something more, I want to do something different. So that was always a nagging noise at the back of my head. And then came social media, where suddenly everyone's into hustle culture. Everyone's like, if you're not hustling, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? And that that literally would strike such a chord in me. I would absolutely, I would literally, I at that point of time was starting to question everything that I was doing in my life. I'm like, oh my god, that is so true. We have a whole life ahead of us, and is this what I actually want? My 9 to 5? No, I want to do more than that. Now, the whole thing about doing hustle culture is, I mean, the whole thing about getting influenced by wanting to be someone who hustles is, you don't know where to start, and you don't know what your reason for this hustle is. I mean, your reasons can be as vague as, yeah, I want to get rich, yeah, I want to do more with my time, yeah, I want to become so and so person, and I want to achieve this and I want to achieve that. But for me, when I decided that, yeah, this is what I want, like, I want to be more, I want to get more hustly or whatever, I didn't have any direction in that. Okay, so at the end of the day, I was trying to do the most with my 9 to 5, but at the same time, I was trying to figure out, oh my god, okay, so I need to get into health. Okay, no, so I want to change my career. Okay, no, so but what if I also want to start a side business? What would it be? Maybe I should start picking up a hobby which I can also make into a business. So I tried baking. Okay, no, baking sounds really hard because nobody's gonna want to eat cakes because everyone's getting like health conscious. And then I was like, what about burgers? Let me try making burgers. I'm not a good cook. Oh, okay, fine. So, what about this? What if I get into fitness and then I try to make it into vlogs and I try to show people on how to get fit? And everything that I was doing was not for me anymore. All of a sudden, it became just for the sake of making something out of it. You know, it became something that I wanted to do just so that I could make it like a side hustle. Everything that I wanted to do was mainly for the reason of becoming a side hustle. So I really believe that's exactly how hustle culture has shaped us or rewired us, and it's become really exhausting. And this is my personal experience, and it did, like, me trying to be something more did come with the sort of with this anxiety that I was just too ordinary and I was just meant for something big. I am still convinced that I'm meant for something more than what I'm doing right now, right? Like, there is nothing wrong with what I'm doing right now. There's nothing wrong with my 9 to 5 job and coming back home and, just living my life. I think, honestly, if I was from an older generation, this is so ideal for me. But it's also not in me to, like, just sit down and do nothing, because I always feel like if I'm sitting down and I'm just resting and doing nothing with my time, if I'm reading a book, or if I'm painting, or if I'm just journaling, I feel like I'm wasting my potential. But I don't realize that, bro, you need to rest. You can have all this potential, you can have all this ambition, but you need to rest. And I'm not trying to say that ambition is really bad, right? Like, ambition is not bad, obviously it's not. But ambition, when it's made to feel like it's really mandatory, like, oh, you need to have this ambition, because without this ambition you're not going to be so and so and so, and without being so and so and so, you are not able to find your place in this world. So it's basically like sort of, I'm only worth my presence on this earth is basically only worth if I become something in my life which is far further than what is considered to be ordinary. But it really does not need to be that serious. But anyway, that is my take on hustle culture. Like I said, with hustle culture comes a lot of guilt with resting. And I think it's something that really does happen in this generation, where we really feel that if we step back and if we take some time for ourselves, I am wasting my whole potential. When it comes to our parents' generation, I don't think they ever had to think about, like, oh, hustle this, that, and rest is supposed to be this, this, and this, right? They just went living their life, not being influenced by social media, not being influenced. They just knew that they had to survive, and this was the right way to survive, which is amazing. So they never really thought about rest as being something that's essential, because I don't know if they were doing it. Like, I'm gonna have to ask my mom and be like, did you ever rest? Because I don't see my parents. I can't, I don't know what rest looked like for them, you know? And then what rest looks like for us, I also don't know what actually rest looks like for us. It's like eat, pray, love, right? Like, where they're just like the Italians are like the art of doing nothing, which I honestly don't know how. Like, I can't. I I I I I try not to do nothing, but honestly, the guilt eats me up. But somehow, I think it's the illusion where also life has come to such a standpoint where we feel like if we are not doing enough, we are just falling behind. And at least for me, I think primarily in my 20s, I felt like this a lot. I don't feel like I'm falling behind now. I just have come to the realization where I feel like, okay, you know what? This is my life now. I've chosen it. I got to make the best of it. So I don't feel like I'm falling behind. And we can also feel a lot like this because there's so much happening in the world. There is literally so much happening all the time, every time. And when you think about it, you look at social media and you can constantly see people who are just growing up the ladder, or they're just doing something more, and somehow some people have just found a way to make money out of, like, the side hustle or their hobbies. People seem to be living this life where which could easily make you feel like comparison is like your worst enemy, for sure. And that's something that I've done for a very long time. Sometimes I think it still does happen because I'm like, man, even I want to live this life. But then when you sit down and you realize, but okay, I could live this life, but I'm just actively choosing not to. Also, when you have been operating in this way for so long, and this has become your normalcy, right? Like, you trying to become something more than the usual has become normal for you. So anything other than that now feels pretty unnormal. I mean, abnormal. Feels pretty abnormal. And you sort of making that decision to go against what you're so used to can make your nervous system just feel like you're really not functioning to your whole potential, especially in a world where you can see that change is happening so quick, and people get rewarded for putting themselves out there, or people get rewarded just for, like, showing capability and their ambitions, and you see that there is a certain reward for that. So the minute you rest, you feel like, oh my god, like, if I want all this, I can't be resting right now. And we don't realize how important that rest is as well. So because our body is um pretty much has recognized hustling as normalcy, rest can feel pretty, it can make you pretty restless, to be honest. And it really does suck when your emotions or your feelings about rest is that way. Now, I mean, ultimately, I'm not trying to make it sound like as if hustling is bad. I really do think because of hustling, or because of the desire to also want more, a lot of people have been able to achieve so much more, not just for themselves, but for their families and for their friends and just for their loved ones. And there's so many people who have hustled their way out of survival, not just for them, but also for their families. So I'm not in any way trying to bash hustle culture. And I really think I wouldn't say it was the best thing that happened, but I think it was a required thing to happen, especially with the way the economy is growing. There is no way that I think we could have actually avoided hustle culture from happening. I think till date, in a way, all of us want to hustle more, but also we are a generation that is just so tired and burnt out. Like, there's so many people who right now are just so tired. I am so tired, to be honest. I remember, so my 2025 went into this whole criteria of, okay, fine, this is what I want to do. I want to do vlogs. I want to get so many followers. Okay, I want to get fit as well. I want to eat healthy. I want to start running. I want to also get a job. And at the same time, I am also doing this part-time job, which is driving me nuts. And my 2025 just went, I was surviving and surviving and surviving. And by the end of it, I've achieved like most of the things that I set out my goals for. But at the end of it, by September, October, I was so exhausted. I was so exhausted. I was burnt out. I just could not do it anymore. I'm like, bruh, I have not been on a vacation for so long. I have literally not taken a break from all the things that I am doing on a regular basis for so long. And I remember in October, I was like, that's it. You're done. You're not going to shoot a video. You're not going to come up with a plan for your next video. You are not going to write down any scripts. You are not going to plan anything for the rest of the day. You are not going to be applying for jobs. You are going to live a regular life. You're going to come back from your 9 to 5, and you are going to cook, you're going to eat, you're going to watch something, and you're going to relax. Like, I needed that break so bad, so bad, because my body could feel the exhaustion. My emotionally, mentally, I was done. I was like, I need to breathe, bro. Like, the burnout had, and this has happened so many times to me, so many times where I don't even realize that I'm burnt out. And I think in this generation, especially, if you see even on social media, right now everyone's coming to that soft life sort of persona. I get it. Beautiful. I'd love to have a soft life. But I don't think the soft life can, we can live it, but I don't think everyone has the privilege of doing that, especially when you're an immigrant in another country. No, like, I don't feel like I have the time for the soft life. Yeah, I do my self care and I do all of that, but to sit down and actually have a soft life on a regular for a whole long time, that's not happening, bro. Like, that's not happening. But also, right now, we're in a generation which has realized that, hey, the millennials kind of like they kind of burnt out and we don't want to get there, so we are going to live a soft life while also like doing what they need to do, sorts of. Now, again, the difference between drive and anxiety, like I said, I'm not criticizing hustle culture. I think it is really important, but I think it's also important to realize where the hustle is coming from. When I was younger, when I was in my 20s, my hustle came from the fact that, oh, I want to achieve this because I feel like it came from pride, and it came from ego, and it came from a place where I'm like, yeah, I want to show the world that even I can be so and so, you know the world didn't give a shit, bro. Like, literally no one gives a shit what you're doing. I definitely think everything that I was trying to achieve was coming from a place of, not because I wanted, but because I feel like I was falling behind. It came from a place where I felt like I was failing at my masters. I felt like I was not doing enough to my whole potential, and I felt like I I know I was someone who was actually worried about how people would perceive me if I didn't achieve more than what I was doing right now. I didn't like the idea of telling people, yeah, I'm doing this normal 9 to 5 job and I'm an ordinary person. I didn't like that. It took me a while to realize that it's it's okay even if I was just doing a 9 to 5 and I was going home and I was just doing bare minimum or just living life as a normal person. Like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. No one is judging me, because that seemed to have been like a really big concern for me. And now, and all of that came from a place of anxiety, right? Because I was fearful of what my future is going to look like. I was fearful of what people thought of me. I was fearful of so many other things that had nothing to do with what I actually want. But now it's come to a point of like, I really had to sit down with myself and figure out, okay, okay, fine, fine. You're someone who wants to stay busy. Amazing. Good for you. But like why? Like, why do you want to stay busy? Why do you want to achieve more than your 9 to 5? Why do you want to do more? Why do you want to not focus on rest? And I've also come down to sit and think about, even if that's, if okay, fine, I'm not focusing on rest and I'm burning out on a very regular, how do I avoid that? At some point, especially when you hit your 30s, you get kind of tired, bro. You realize, man, what am I running after? Because I used to feel like, oh my god, my 30s are approaching. I have not achieved anything. I have not achieved enough. I've not done this enough. I've not done that enough. And my 30s are coming. I'm supposed to be this manager by this. And oh, I don't even have a business. I don't even have a business plan. What the hell? All of this stress that I was putting by myself, by the time you're 30 and you realized, oh wait, I have not yet achieved all of these things. I think I can slow down now. I think I can slow down, because anyways I've not achieved shit. Like, I mean, not like I've not done anything with my life. But again, it all the things that I thought I wanted to do by 30, most of those didn't happen, and it didn't happen because I was actually running after all of it for the wrong reasons. And when you run after things for the wrong reasons, whether that is for external validation, whether that's out of anxiety, whether that's a lot of pressure from the outside, inside, whatever it is, you're never going to achieve what you want to achieve. So I really had to pace myself and think about what I actually want to do and why I want to do it and how I'm going to do it, and how am I going to do it without burning myself out, and how do I not punish myself by not resting? How do I not guilt myself into thinking that you're not achieved this, so you don't deserve rest? How do I do that? So it's not about working less, but it's it's also like, okay, work appropriately, but also don't stress about it. Ambition is great, but like, don't make it your personality. It's not a personality. It's not everything that you have to be. Have ambition, but have it, make sure that it's coming from a place of drive, because you're enjoying this and whatever you're doing is exciting to you, rather than a place of anxiety. Because right now, like me starting content creation last year, it was pretty directionless. Not like, but however, it did give me foundation, and it made me realize what I was doing wrong about it and what I was doing right about it, and what I could do to improve not just my content, but also like how I'm sort of treating myself while I'm doing this content. How do I do it without the pressure? Sort of, how do I just do it just to make sure that I'm enjoying doing it? And weirdly enough, I'm actually enjoying this. And not that I'm really surprised, actually. I really feel like I was meant to sort of be into content, and I was sort of meant to talk someone's ear off. No one's listening to me, so I started podcasting. Wow. But hopefully, a lot more people listen to me now, which I don't know why. I feel like I am going to be heard. So, yeah, that is my take on hustle culture. I think ultimately, it is your hustle or your ambitions should come from a place that excites you, rather than it coming from a place of anxiety. And I think when you do find something exciting, I think all of your 20s, you should continuously be finding new things to do. If you're happy with 9 to 5 and going back home and resting, I'm so jealous of you. I wish I was that type of person, but I unfortunately come from a generation where productivity is the only thing that is rewarded. So for me to like literally redesign my whole nervous system, it's too much work right now, and I like being busy, so that's completely fine with me, but it's just for me to find the right way to do it, right? I don't know if this is a common feeling. I'm pretty sure it is. But how many of y'all, I'm asking questions from here, okay? Like do you feel guilty on your days off? Like if you don't do something on your day off, do you feel guilty? I still feel guilty. If I feel like they have been recently, I have been like slowing down on my Saturdays, and and Sundays I don't get out. I'm like, sorry boo, I'm gonna be at home just chilling. Saturdays also, like, sometimes I don't get out, but I'm also of the mindset like I want to do something on a Saturday, and I usually go out just to town, to a coffee shop or whatever, just something, because sometimes I just need that. Also for me is like a rest, to go to a coffee shop, to read, to walk around town, to have like a nice lunch or something. I love that. Do you also, are you someone who sort of feels more fulfilled, or you just feel like you have accomplished something by being productive, whether that productivity is actually useful to you, whether it's actually being productive, or you're just doing something for the sake of being busy? Are you that sort of person? And also, if success was public, would you still chase it? Wasn't public, would you still chase it? That's a good question. I mean, success, I think, can be defined in so many ways, right? Because for me, being successful would be being rich. Like for me, I'm fine with not being known to the world. Like I'm fine not having my life out there, okay? But I don't know how else would I go about making money, to be honest. Like I feel like this is one of the most convenient ways for me to like just put my opinion out there and record myself. But if success was like being famous, and like, if it, I guess success is how you define it. If it's about being famous, not really. But if it has to, if success for me was just money and like to be rich and not have any financial problems, I will chase the shit out of it. I will be chasing success with a knife. Okay, that's pretty crazy, but I would be chasing it even if it was if it was not public. I don't care. I'll be chasing success if it was just money. But if it is being famous, not a big fan. Ultimately, I do think, when we compare from generation to generation, our parents definitely, they had stability. They had, it was survival, but they definitely did have stability. For us, our generation, it's definitely, we did have opportunities, and probably not as much opportunities as there is now, considering social media has opened up so much. But there was opportunities in a way where we didn't have to worry about survival as much as our parents did. Then now there's this generation where they have even more opportunities, but they also have the leniency of, or they have given importance to resting. And maybe our generation, the most important thing now is to, I think it's basically a skill to know when to be building yourself up and when to be resting and not feeling bad about it. I really do hope that for a generation, to be honest. I hope that for myself. Okay, I know about all of you out there, but if there's a lot of you out there who's also going through these emotions of like hustle culture, and like who's really trying to build so much more, and who's constantly burning out and not realizing it, let me know. Let me know. Let's discuss. Let's create a community of people who need to realize when they need to rest and when they actually need to like stop hustling. That is my take on the hustle culture. Thank you so much for listening. And if you do have any takes on hustle cultures or how it's taken over your life, when did you realize you're a hustler? And how did hustling get the best out of you? Give us your best. I mean, give us your good story times. And also let us know, when was it that you realized that you're hustling a bit too much and you need to rest? At what point, at what age, what situation clicked in your mind and you were like, damn, I need to calm down, you know? Yeah. Tell me all about it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to hear all of your opinions and views. Peace out. Yeah.